For the first time in 3 years, Apple just hit refresh on all 3 of its smartwatches at the same time. The budget SE, the mainstream series, and the flagship Ultra all get new hardware in 2025. But the upgrades are more subtle than you might think. So which one actually deserves your money? Stick around because there's one feature on these watches that you'll use every single day, whether you buy the $249 SE or the $799 Ultra 3. Okay, first, the Series 11. Okay, let's be real. If you bought the Series 10 last year, you're not really missing much. The Series 11 is a minor upgrade on paper, and it also looks nearly identical, with the only visible change being a new space gray aluminum finish. So when it comes to changes, first, the Series 11 is the first Apple Watch to offer 5G alongside the Ultra 3. With the redesigned antenna system, it's noticeably quicker when streaming music, pulling maps, or taking calls when you're away from your phone. Handoffs are smoother, dead zones feel less dead, and it's a step up if you live on the go and rely on your watch to take over for your phone. Battery life is now officially rated at 24 hours, but the real story behind that is that Apple changed how it measures all-day battery. The test now includes 6 hours of sleep tracking, which wasn't part of the old 18-hour rating. The battery itself is a little bigger, and some of the gain comes from software tweaks and a more efficient 5G modem. In day-to-day use, you might notice slightly better endurance, but don't expect a night and day leap over last year's model. Low power mode tells a similar story. Series 11 is rated for 38 hours, just a small bump over the Series 10, and even that's thanks to a lighter test scenario. If you're hoping for Apple's version of a multi-day smartwatch, we're not quite there yet on the series version. Fast charging means you can squeeze about 8 hours of use from just 15 minutes on the charger, so even if you forget to plug in, you're rarely caught off guard as long as you have a way to charge the watch wherever you are. Durability gets a boost too. This might be the biggest feature for me. The aluminum models now use a new Ion X glass with ceramic coating, now rated to be twice as scratch resistant as the last year. The titanium versions still stick with sapphire crystals, so daily wear and tear on those is still pretty much a non-issue. So for me, if you have a Series 10, there isn't really much reason to upgrade to a Series 11. If you're on an older model, this is a really nice upgrade with several quality of life improvements. That said, Apple Watch Ultra 3 takes those practical gains and doubles down on 2 things that matter most for an adventure watch: screen visibility in the wild and reliable safety features when your phone is out of reach. Ultra 3 keeps the same rugged titanium body but grows the display experience. The borders are 24% thinner, and the new wide-angle OLED is easier to read at a glance, even when the watch isn't square to your eyes, like when you're on a bike or climbing or carrying grocery bags. Now, me personally, I don't think anyone's really going to notice the very slight increase in screen size, but the wide-angle OLED definitely makes it easier to see off axis. The LTPO3 panel can now refresh at 1 Hz in always-on mode, so you can see that ticking hand or the seconds increasing on a digital watch even when the wrist is down and dimmed. It's a small detail, but it makes the watch feel more watch-like. Battery life moved from 36 to 42 hours, but again, it's partly due to a reframing of measurement, like I mentioned on the Series 11, where sleep tracking is now being taken into account. And if you do need to charge, 15 minutes can cover up to 12 hours of typical use on the Ultra 3. Low power mode stretches things even further when you're out all day in GPS heavy workouts. Then there's satellite. If you've hiked beyond cell coverage or your phone died mid-ride, the Ultra 3 can still connect. For emergency SOS, Find My Location pings every 15 minutes, and even for short messages in supported regions. Pair that with 5G back in civilization and redesigned dual antenna logic for better reception, and you've got what is the most connected Apple Watch yet. Now, before we get to the Apple Watch that impressed me most this year, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, Arzopa, makers of the Z3FC portable monitor. The Z3FC is a 16.1-inch QHD portable display that runs at a blazing 180 Hz refresh rate. That means gaming, scrolling, and even everyday multitasking just looks super smooth. You get dual USB-C ports and a mini HDMI port, so it works with basically anything. So that's your laptop, your Steam Deck, your Nintendo Switch, even a PlayStation or Xbox. Just plug it in and you are up and running. It covers 107% of the sRGB color space with solid brightness at around 400 nits. So if you're editing, gaming, or just streaming movies, the picture is looking crisp. And since it has this built-in kickstand, it props up instantly without needing any extra gear or stands to carry around in your bag. If you want an affordable way to get a second screen that actually keeps up with your workflow and travels easily, check out the Arzopa Z3 FC. I will leave a link down in the description below. But then there's the Apple Watch SE, which gets the most new upgrades. This is the year where the Apple Watch SE finally grows up. It finally gets the always-on Retina display, so time and complications are glanceable. Inside is the same S10 chip that we find in the higher-end models, which unlocks faster performance, on-device Siri, and the gesture controls like the double tap to pick up a call or play pause, and the quick wrist flick to dismiss something and move on. Charging is meaningfully faster, about 2 times faster than the SE2, so short top-offs are actually useful. And the glass is also tougher using that same custom IONX glass that we see on the Series 11, which is 4 times more crack resistant than before. The SE also gets 5G if you go cellular, and the storage jumps to 64 gigabytes, which is plenty for playlists and podcasts. Speaking of which, the SE3 can play media out loud through the built-in speaker now, and voice isolation makes phone calls clearer on windy streets. And we're not done. The SE also picks up the temperature sensor, so you get richer vitals data and retrospective ovulation estimates if you use cycle tracking. So this means that even at the lowest price, the health story on the SE is getting closer to that of the flagships. And what you don't get is the bigger batteries. The SE still targets 18 hours, and it also skips the advanced health sensors, so there's no ECG, no blood oxygen, and the heart rate tracking, while good enough for daily use, isn't quite as precise as what you'll get on the Series 11 or Ultra 3. But with the faster charger and always on screen finally in the mix, I think this is the first SE that doesn't feel like a huge compromise. Now, 2 software-driven upgrades are also worth mentioning. First is the sleep score, where your nights are graded with a transparent breakdown of duration, consistency, and interruptions, so you know exactly which habit to tackle in order to sleep better. The score is explainable and consistent with clinical guidance, which makes it a lot more useful than a random mystery number. Second is Apple's new hypertension notifications. The watches are not taking your blood pressure readings. Instead, they analyze long-term optical sensor data to surface patterns that might suggest chronically high blood pressure. If you get an alert, the next step is the old school cuff for a week to manually take your blood pressure and a chat with your doctor. So it's more of a nudge and less of a diagnosis. Now, both of these features though are part of watchOS 26, which means they also work with the Series 9 and above and the Ultra 2 and above. So not just the most recent Apple Watch models. All that said, which one should you get? The Series 11 is the mainstream sweet spot. 24-hour battery, tougher glass, and 5G with a smarter antenna. The Ultra 3 is the tool watch, the best screen Apple's made, 42 hours battery life, 1 Hz always on display, and satellite peace of mind when your phone or coverage drops out. Then the SE3 is the value play. Always on, finally, modern chip, fast charging, 64 gigs, and media from the speaker if you need it, all at the lowest price point. This year, Apple didn't chase gimmicks. They tightened the fundamentals. Series 11 addresses battery and speed. Ultra 3 adds safety you can feel and a display you'll actually notice. And SE3 brings the basics up to 2025 standards. If your watch is a few years old, you'll feel these changes on day one. If you're coming from an iPhone-only setup, 5G plus satellite on your wrist is exactly the kind of freedom you won't want to give back. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andrew Edwards, and I will catch you in the next video.